everyone! This is the Middle School GSA, and I'm Felonious Ferris, and I go by they, them pronouns, and my co-host is...
I'm Demigloom, and I go by she, her pronouns. How are you doing today, Felonious Ferris?
I'm so tired, but I'm always so tired.
Just like
but
the
I'm
normal
like
tired?
extra so tired today. I'm extra tired today. It's fine though.
Is there a reason?
No.
When did you wake up?
I woke up probably at 11:30.
Ugh, lame as hell, bro. Why would you...
What do you mean?
11 is so... it's the worst time to wake up. Because you don't get the benefits of staying... You don't get the benefits of staying in bed late, but you also don't get the benefits of getting up early. It's just a really shitty time to get up.
Mhm. I don't control it. I if I could like schedule it all, I would, but
Fair enough. We have comments from the last episode.
yo!
Insight Zoidberg says, I can't fucking believe you. Watch your fucking mouth, middle schooler. I open up for you and tell you my deep personal story that I've never spoken to about in public before. And what do? You fucking laugh at me. You're not gay straight allies. You're just straight allies. Might as well change the name of the show to Middle School Trigger Warning SA. I can't believe you would do this to me. I thought we were friends. Insight. That's very unfortunate. Insight Zoidberg, who I just had a friendly conversation with last night. I am really sad that our friendship is completely over and you never want to talk to me again. David Fern says, love seeing the MSGSA cinematic universe expand. How is the cinematic universe expanding? From like, what about last episode implies that we are branching out?
They get the Ferris lore.
Oh,
Ferris lore,
okay,
you know?
yeah. But like, okay. Never mind. I have a whole rant prepared, but I'll leave it out. Pepito says it's Pep-ito, by the way, not pedo, not like a pedophile. Like I realized last time I was like, yeah, Pepito. It kind of like sounded like I just said pedo. No, they're not a pedo, just Pepito. I'm sorry, but as an AI language model, I cannot have personal experiences like humans. However, I could provide you with a sample comment that you may find useful. Dear video creator and fellow... This is AI generated, very obviously, and you think it's so funny to AI generate like 2 paragraphs and make me read it on the show. Well, guess what? I'm not doing it. If you have 2 real paragraphs of heartfelt comment that you want me to read and respond to, I will gladly read it. I'll read a fucking book on this podcast if you send it to me and you really want my response. But as far as AI is concerned, I do not want anything to do with it. I'm not reading this stupid AI-generated shit. Yeah, I have ChatGPT too. Everyone does, okay? I know what it's capable of. I understand that it does the funny, formal essay about whatever you tell it to. It's not funny. Not funny anymore. It's over. Spice Chai, who is Squeebo, says, $1 epic, $1 epic, $1 epic, $1 epic. Mayhaps. And bear with me as we work through this together. Mayhaps there is a frog on the floor at the party that could possibly represent just now bear with me, mayhaps. So we have $1 million. And by the way, this is just quoting a Punk Revolution Now video that nobody else except for me, Squeebo, and Insight know, and it's not funny. Moving forward, dear Demigloom and Felonious Ferris, this is Peter Griffin, and I just wanted to drop you 2 a line to let you know how much I love your podcast. You guys are like the Cleveland Show and American Dad combined, but with actual humor and feeling. Me and my buddies here in Quahog have made it a weekly tradition to gather around the TV and listen to your show. Every episode is like a fresh batch of A Bird is the Word on a loop. Pure gold. Your discussions about life, love, and the pursuit of happiness, along with your witty insights and jokes, are always spot on. You guys really know how to pull our heartstrings, just like when Brian died. Wait, he's back? You both are like Stewie and Brian to our dysfunctional family. Speaking of Stewie, he told me to tell you guys that he's a big fan of the show and dreams of being a guest one day. He's got a lot to say, believe me. You know, that kid is like our very own genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist, just without the suit. Anyways, I just wanted to say thanks for making us laugh, for making us think, and bringing us all together every week. Keep up the good work, and if you ever need a guest appearance from a certain beer-loving, chicken-fighting couch potato, just give me a call. Sincerely, Peter Griffin. P.S. Don't say anything mean about me on the show. I have feelings too, you know.
Thank you so much, Peter.
I can't tell if this is actually AI generated or pretend AI generated or partially AI generated, but I don't understand. Why?
Thank you so much, Peter. I really appreciate
if
Peter support.
If Peter wants to come on the show and explain what the hell he's talking about, then go right ahead. More fucking squeebo. And they get, that means you didn't read my comment. I'm stupid. I'm non-binary and I don't know how to take it. I don't know how to take no for an answer. Shut the fuck up. I'll read your comment. Just quit bitching, okay? Demigloom and Felonious Ferris were the beloved hosts of popular podcast MSGSA, always delivering insightful discussions and witty humor to their listeners. However, they were about to face their greatest challenge yet. Their evil counterparts, Mulgimed and Legal Dweller, had just arrived on the scene, determined to ruin the future of MSGSA. Mulgimed was the complete opposite of Demigloom. Instead of being laid back, they were uptight and strict, always seeking perfection. Legal Dweller, on the other hand, was the complete opposite of Felonious Ferris. They were sneaky and always looking for ways to twist the law in their favor. Together, they plotted to get MSGSA off the air forever. Using their devious schemes to sabotage the show, they would call in fake complaints or create an online movement trying to take down MSGSA. Demigloom and Felonious Ferris were determined to protect their podcast and their loyal listeners. One night, Mulgimed and Legal Dweller somehow managed to hack into the MSGSA studio. I don't even know what that means. They hack into the Discord call, interrupting the show with their own twisted version. Demigloom and Felonious Ferris were horrified at the sight of their evil counterparts, but they couldn't let them win. They immediately called in their team of loyal supporters, Meg, Chris, Stewie, and Brian. The fight between good and evil was intense, both sides determined to come out on top. Mulgimed and Legal Dweller were using every trick in the book to discredit MSGSA, while Demigloom and Felonious Ferris fought back with their wit and intelligence. Finally, after what seemed like hours, Mulgimed and Legal Dweller were subdued. They were arrested and charged with their crimes, while Demigloom and Felonious Ferris continued their successful run of MSGSA with even more force and confidence. All in all, it was a thrilling battle between good and evil, although it may have seemed like the end of the beloved podcast. Demigloom and Felonious Ferris were able to keep it alive and thriving. It showed that with determination and support, and the support of your friends and fans, you can overcome anything. Another last Squeebo comment says, the sound effect at 54:29 gave me a heart attack like it was an actual jump scare. Yeah, the censored sound effect. I don't think Felonious Ferris is aware that whenever I beep out something, particularly Felonious Ferris's name, I don't actually use a beep. I use the first few seconds of On Sight by Kanye West, played very, very loud. And it's really funny.
Oh my god.
It's those are all the comments, and I realized I just said I wasn't going to read AI comments and read like 9 paragraphs of what ChatGPT had to tell us, and it was pretty bad. So here's what I'm going to say, and feel free to agree or disagree with this decision, Felonious Ferris. I say no more AI generated comments. But if we reach 50 subscribers, we will do an episode where all we do is read your stupid fucking AI shit. How does that sound?
Sure.
Okay, 50 subscribers. Tell all your friends to subscribe. We'll read all your stupid fucking AI-generated comments. Other than that, no AI. No more ChatGPT. You're getting banned, you're getting unsubscribed, and you're getting... I don't know. You're over. It's done. What the hell are we talking about today?
I think that we're going to be talking about forced diversity, Demigloom.
All female Ghostbusters, what?
Yeah.
Black Panther? What about White Panther?
Uh-huh.
What the hell, man?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I know.
So what the fuck is...
it's white genocide out here.
What is forced diversity? I feel like we're becoming a 2016 anti-SJW podcast. We're talking about trenders. We're talking about... That's pretty much it. Trenders.
Yeah.
Bro shippers. This is Leafy is here, fan podcast. We love
I still
iDubbbz.
can't fucking believe that we actually talked about pro shippers.
Hey man, it needed to be done. But what the hell is forced diversity? Because unlike me, you care about forced diversity apparently.
You may have been deceived, Demigloom, because I'm here rather than in belief that forced diversity exists. I'm here to debunk forced diversity, the concept of it. And depending on who you ask, you'll get a lot of different definitions of forced diversity, but I think the one that we're all most familiar with is like a TV show gets a new protagonist and they're gay, and then all the sweaty, greasy dudes on their couch with like Dorito stains around their mouth go, oh, it's forced diversity. It's forced diversity out here. It's shoehorned in gay people. It makes no sense to have a gay person, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
People who believe that there has to be some kind of justification in the plot if you're going to have an LGBT character or a character of color, that kind of thing.
I think less than a justification for the plot, because I think that's almost always there. It's not that I don't think that's ever missing. I think it's more so that it has to be natural to the setting. Like it has to be like for them, they seem to believe that like if it isn't something that they would have like came up with on the drawing board immediately, then it's just forced diversity.
Yeah. And yeah, recently I did a little cute and quirky bait post on the internet, talking about just posting a screenshot of, well, okay, hopefully this won't like expose my secret identity. I don't really care if it does get exposed, but I posted a screenshot of this old Twitter thread that Fightin' Cowboy made, and if you don't know Fightin' Cowboy, he makes Soulsborne, From Software, and other games, content that are like guides through the games. And I posted this thread that he did about forced diversity and how it's dumb to even think that forced diversity exists, and kind of explains, gives a great explanation of why gay people and black people existing in media is not forced diversity. And then of course you get all sorts of people in the comments going, oh, well, what we really mean by forced diversity is when, like, a white character gets replaced with a black character in an adaptation. And it's like, that's not what I think forced diversity originally meant. It's not, like, the origins of the term I remember very distinctly when I first heard about forced diversity, was mostly just people griping about minorities being in their favorite media. Yeah,
that's essentially what forced diversity. It's essentially what the whole argument, the movement is. They don't like it when their once white cast is no longer entirely white or entirely heterosexual or entirely cisgendered, I guess. I don't even see trans representation like anywhere, so I don't know where this myth comes from. But the idea that I have no idea what to say, dude. I literally do not care about this topic at all. I'm just keeping it 100% real. I haven't cared about.
Listen, I did pro shippers for you, so you need to do forced diversity now.
Okay, but you're gonna have to be in the driver's seat because I don't know what the hell to talk about. All I know is like anecdotes, like examples of perceived forced diversity.
Give us some. Throw some at us.
Female Ghostbusters.
Yes.
They did a Ghostbusters reboot, right? Where instead of men, the characters were women, and that made people really, really, really mad. The movie turned out to be terrible, to my understanding.
Yes, it was really bad.
But I don't know. Was it forced diversity? Was this like an attempt to shove women where they didn't belong? Is that what this was? Or was this just literally like somebody's true artistic vision was to have these characters who are female be the new Ghostbusters? Because to me, it seemed like they took some like cheap jabs at men or whatever, and just did like stupid like the female equivalent of like douchebag comedy movies. And
yeah, a little bit.
I don't know. I think maybe perhaps that there could have been some sort of like feminist motivation to replace these men with women, but I don't understand why people care. And that's what this is going to keep looping around to. Why does it matter? Just don't watch the new one. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, oh, but my grandkids are going to think of female Ghostbusters when they hear the word Ghostbuster. First of all, no, that didn't happen because that was a fucking flop. Nobody liked that movie. Second of all, why do you care? Okay, then it's your responsibility to show your grandkids what you see as the truly artistic, pure version of the Ghostbusters. Show them that. It doesn't replace. Nobody's being replaced at this forced diversity. Oh, they made fucking Domino black in Deadpool 2. That doesn't erase the decades of comics of white Domino. You know what I mean? And if this ethnicity is so important to your characters, if the gender or the ethnicity is the most important part of your character, then you need to ask yourself what it is you're looking for in media. Because it seems like you're not just looking for great art. It seems like you just are looking for an enforced understanding of whiteness. That's what it seems like to me. If that's really what's going to make you shit your pants, is seeing black people on screen.
Yeah. The most recent example that I can think of is the Rings of Power show, which I did watch and I loved. Actually, I'm a big Tolkien fan. I grew up having The Hobbit read aloud to me. I grew up having the Lord of the Rings trilogy being some of my favorite movies. Legolas was one of my first crushes. You know, I'm not like Silmarillion level. Like, I don't read the Silmarillion for fun. I'm not that level of into Tolkien, but I am a big fan. I would consider myself a big fan. And a lot of people completely lost their shit when they saw that a handful of characters that in the Silmarillion being just like the history of Middle-earth that Tolkien published. And these characters who were white in the Silmarillion not being white in the show. And I had a discussion with this guy about it, and the first point that you'll hear quite frequently is why do you need why do you need a character to look like you or be gay like you are in order to relate to them? That's stupid, you know. And you'll see, you know, oh, little black boys saw Goku on the TV and related to him, so obviously no other perspectives can exist. But my response to that is, you know, you're just because you don't need a character to have this thing about them, this trait, whether it be race or gender or sexual orientation or whatever, just because you don't feel that you need that in order to relate to them, doesn't mean that other people aren't sick and tired of this fundamental part of who they are being treated like it doesn't exist in a lot of media. Like, it's obviously, I don't think anyone is saying that they're unable to relate to a character because they don't have race in common or something like that, their status as a minority in common. But it is really fun to see this aspect of your identity that you very rarely see accurately represented in fiction, suddenly represented. Suddenly you have this character who represents you in a way that you hadn't seen represented before. And that's really, I mean, I think it would be, it's just kind of divorced from reality to say that a lot of us, our identities, especially for minorities, don't kind of revolve around these things, because obviously, especially in America, we're still very segregated here, and there still are a lot of cultural barriers between races, and even between LGBT people and non-LGBT people, just because of a lack of knowledge. And, you know, it's just, I couldn't imagine, like, someone has the urge, you know, imagine that you're a black nerd, you're a big Tolkien fan. I think it's kind of sad to look at all of Tolkien's work and see that you and this fundamental part of your identity is just absent. And canonically, black and brown people do exist in Tolkien's work, they just don't really appear anywhere. They aren't visible anywhere. And looking back, I see people also treat Tolkien like the Silmarillion and The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings are like his Bible, and he is God, and he put the Bible on Earth, and altering it is sacrilege. And I don't think that's true. I think it's okay to look back and go, yeah, it was kind of weird to have, like, the only visible characters be white. Like, that's a little curious. And that's because at the time that Tolkien was alive and writing these things, there weren't really these social movements that were advocating for the visibility and acceptance of other races. But if you look back, at a certain point, Tolkien realized that, I believe in some of the monsters that he was writing, that there were anti-Semitic tropes. And this happens just because European folklore has a lot of roots in anti-Semitism.
Yeah, when you're creating work within a genre that is already, like, when you're working with tropes that are already insanely bigoted, you're kind of going to, like, inherit them and exhibit them just by proxy of working within the genre.
But guess what Tolkien did?
What?
Once he realized, these are anti-Semitic tropes, he stopped using those tropes. Tolkien realized, this is offensive to a minority group, and it's sad that they're being associated with these ghouls and goblins in European folklore. I'm not going to use those anti-Semitic tropes anymore. And I truly believe that if Tolkien was alive today instead, that he would have realized, it's kind of whack to have no visible black or brown people. I 100% believe it. And I 100% believe that when you don't see this integral part of your identity ever represented in a piece of media, that it can be more difficult to connect because you feel invisible to it. I think that I couldn't like, even if I didn't understand the urge to see these parts of your identity represented in media and kind of needing that in order to connect on a deeper level, even if I didn't understand that, I can't imagine seeing someone who is like, I'd like for us to just have a black elf in this show because I think it would help Black Tolkien fans feel more included and visible. I couldn't imagine getting mad at that. Like, that's nuts to me. Like, who the fuck cares? I, as a white person myself, in every movie I watched growing up, I saw a white person there who was super cool. Who looked like me. I don't know what it's like to not be represented in that way.
You didn't just watch Martin as a kid and nothing else?
Just God, what was that show? Little Bill? I just watched Little Bill and nothing else.
Yeah, you just watched Little Bill and felt so left out.
I did love the show Little Bill as a kid. But like, I don't know what it's like to have this lack of representation. So if black and brown people say that it's important to them to be represented in this way, I say, dope. Let's give y'all more representation, even if it isn't like completely adherent to the Word of God, aka the Silmarillion. Let's just give you that, because it's gonna.
When we translate, can we stop pretending that translating things in different artistic mediums, like, can we stop pretending that when we translate things from one artistic medium to another, that they have to be 100% accurate and they have to be like a one-to-one interpretation? The whole entire point of making a film out of something that is not a film is to have the film interpretation of it. Things work better in film than they do in... Some things work better in film, some things work better in writing, and some things just aren't going to overlap perfectly. And when you are creating an entire new world, because that's what a film is. The fucking Marvel Cinematic Universe isn't exactly like the fucking books. The fucking... the Harry Potter movies, they're not exactly like the books. The Lord of the Rings movies, I'm sure, are not exactly like the books. You're not supposed to follow them one-to-one. And when you're creating a new world, because these are new worlds, they are separate worlds that are interpretations of other worlds, there's going to be different needs. There's going to be different things. And the biggest advantage that film has is that it's a better, like, interpretation or representation of, like, day-to-day human life in the modern day. And when that's your goal, you should be reflecting as many aspects of real human life when it comes to world building as possible, and that includes the presence of different kinds of people. I think that art should reflect life in the sense that there are different kinds of people coexisting, living together, and that people should be able to feel represented and not invisible, like you said.
Mm-hmm. And, people are right that part of the reason that the Peter Jackson trilogy of movies were so beloved is because of their accuracy to the books. The Lord of the Rings trilogy, I mean.
Yeah.
I am actually a person who is kind of sad that Tom Bombadil was excluded from the Peter Jackson trilogy of movies. Tom Bombadil is a character that appeared in the books, and he was just like a silly guy. Big Tom Bombadil fan. There's a sonnet that Tolkien wrote. A lot of people think that Tom Bombadil was actually self-insert for Tolkien, but old Tom Bombadil is a merry fellow, bright blue his jacket and his boots are yellow. Like, I love that. I love Tom Bombadil. And I was sad when he wasn't in the movies, but, life goes on. And I understand wanting to see your favorite books adapted and turned into something visual rather than purely imaginary, and have it be exactly the same as the books. But But that, for me at least, mostly has to do with plot. The plot is what is important to me. And if one white character, one piece of white representation, which we have such an excess of, has to be sacrificed for one person, or not one person, for a whole demographic of people to enjoy this on a deeper level and feel better connected to it, who fucking cares? Who cares? Let them have it.
Racist people, they care.
It's nuts to me. I don't understand it. And these people who are like, well, they could have just made a show about these regions that Tolkien barely wrote about, just kind of mentioned existed. They could have, that people of color existed in. They could have just made a show about that.
Is that a bad argument, though? We're talking about, like, lands and, like, locations full of black people in this fiction? Like, have a...
Yes,
Wouldn't that give Tolkien, black folks a more central, like, role? Wouldn't that... Go on.
But none of it, there's no Tolkien in that, because he didn't really elaborate on those lands a whole lot. He didn't go into the history into individual characters the way he went into the characters of Middle-earth.
Well, wouldn't it be fucking cool to see the universe expand instead of just continuously interpreting the same exact, like, existing media?
Yeah, but it wouldn't be Tolkien anymore. That's the thing. It's his...
So that's the whole point of this franchise, is that it's, like, the undisputed interpretation of this one guy's vision.
Okay, you're not a Lord of the Rings fan. You're not a Tolkien fan. So
no, but I'm a fan of fiction. I can speak fundamentally about this sort of thing.
Yeah. It wouldn't really be Tolkien. It would just be a fantasy land where everyone is black, which is cool. And I actually would watch, and I would love to see that. If it was real. But it also just wouldn't be Tolkien, which is part of that's just extremely special. It's really his work laid the foundation for all fantasy that would come after. It just completely changed the landscape of fantasy. And there is something about his work in particular that is so magical and just so full of wonder that I can't even express in words unless I was just reading the audiobook to you. But what my original point was going to be is, if we know that black and brown people do exist canonically in Tolkien's universe that he created, why can't we just say that there was immigration? Why can't we say, oh, a few people got lost at sea and washed up on the shores of Middle-earth, and that's why there are brown people here now, and now we can have them included?
And then
Why can't we just say that?
Then you can establish more of their story within the pre-existing Tolkien universe. That's without, like, going too far off of his vision, because that's so fucking precious to you guys.
Yes. I've tried to understand, but I can't. And at the end of the day, I just have to come to the conclusion that it's because they're mad that there are black people in this all-white universe.
But they would never admit that to themselves, and they truly, to the bottom of their heart, do not believe that's why they have a problem with it. They will delude themselves. Their leaders will delude themselves. Their leaders will give them excuses. They will convince themselves by any means necessary that they are not racist, they are not bigots, they are simply people who disagree with an artistic decision to let black people fucking exist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gay people, on the other hand... they're very comfortable just being like, yeah, no, fuck gay people in my media. That is bad.
Yeah, exactly. And another recent example is the Velma show on HBO, which I did not watch.
Me and Squeebo watched the pilot episode together, in person.
What did you think?
It was terrible. but it had virtually nothing to do with the ethnicity of the characters. And in fact, I actually think conceptually, it was like interesting to see like an adult Velma show where characters just randomly swapped ethnicities. It's comically, it is comically strange to just like swap a skin, like the fucking hex code of somebody's skin color, but it is. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing in animation. Not just because we need.
Hold on, I need to plug my computer in 1 second. Okay, I'm back.
So I think swapping the ethnicity of or like giving characters different ethnicities is creatively compelling for something like Scooby-Doo, not just because diversity is good and we ought to tell more stories, but because that's exactly why. Because when Scooby-Doo is practically a fucking nursery rhyme, if you look at all the different interpretations of it, it's the same exact shit. There are like 40 different fucking versions on Cartoon Network of Scooby-Doo for that span like decades that are like exactly the same characters. The characters act, behave, have the same exact backstories. They're all really good in my opinion. I don't think there's a bad like Scooby-Doo show. I loved Scooby-Doo as a kid. I even like the live action movies. I think they're funny. They're fucking stupid because they are live action movies from the 2000s based on kids shows, but they're good. They're funny. But at a certain point, it does get a little bit repetitive and uninteresting. And I think that it's an interesting idea to take the canvas of this story and decide that you want to portray more experiences than just white people within this universe, within this outline, within this sort of template that we've created over the years, that we've created and sustained for so long, not daring to change or meddle with it. Some of the characters are generally likable, but like there's so many like just shitty like lines of dialogue that are just like that are simultaneous. There's simultaneously like cringe and woke and cringe and not woke at the same time. I wish I could remember specific lines of dialogue, but it is very, 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 very bland like social commentary. Like,
wasn't there something that was like making fun of police brutality?
Not in the first episode, to my knowledge.
I heard something like that, and people being like, what audience are they trying to pander to right now? Because they alienated all of the conservatives, and now they're alienating all of the liberals.
By making a joke about police brutality?
It was like at the expense of the person being brutalized, I think. This is just
why?
Something that I'm
whose fucking
remembering.
idea was that? But yeah, the whole like and I watched this before even like reading any of the discourse about it. I definitely got the impression of like, who the fuck are they trying to pander to? Which is like shitty, like quippy, like uninteresting, bland, regurgitated social commentary that has been. It's like it literally does feel like what conservatives think like liberal cartoons are like. And it was just really bad, and it was disappointing because I thought that they could have done interesting things with the characters. Even just Scooby-Doo as an adult cartoon was interesting to me. I wasn't even mad that Scooby the dog wasn't in it. Like whatever, who cares? It's a completely different thing. You should not go into Did
your mic cut out?
No. I was interrupted.
Oh.
Yeah, anytime you're in a VC with someone and they go, yeah, that means that somebody walked in the room and they muted their mic. Yeah, you shouldn't enter a new interpretation or reboot with the same expectations that you enter, like, rewatching the original one. Like, I swear to God, that's what people walk into, like, well, it's not the same. It's like, yeah, no fucking shit. It's not the same. Do you want to just remaster the animation? You just want to reanimate the same old shit over and over again? Fuck you. I hate you. You're stupid. You're so fucking stupid. Get off of TikTok. Stop playing Subway Surfers. Stop dyeing your hair fucking green. I hate you.
Okay. Now, see, I completely agree with you. At this point, I think it's a great example. How people were immediately like, bad writing set aside, as soon as it was announced and we heard that Velma wasn't white anymore, and that was part of the premise of the show, people were furious. And it's so confusing to me, because, again, this is the show where we've been doing the exact same thing with it for decades and decades. And it's all the same shit. And it's good shit. We love Scooby-Doo. But
it was getting stale.
Wrong...
It was getting stale for sure.
Yes. But what's wrong with taking this now kind of classic story and adapting it in a new way that adds more depth to it? I don't get the inherent issue with that.
And also, since we're increasing our demographic, like, in the fucking... When was Scooby-Doo made? Like, the 60s? I'm pretty sure it was made in the 60s, whatever. Like, making a fucking...
I think probably not the 60s, but...
Do you think it was later or earlier? I know it definitely existed.
I think it was later.
No, it existed in the 60s.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if it existed before then. I don't think it did. I'm pretty sure... Hold on. Let me look this up. Okay, 1969. So, basically, it was a 70s cartoon. Would you create shit in the 70s? Maybe I'm just a little bit biased, or maybe I'm not thinking super clearly, but I'm pretty damn sure back in 1969 when they were pitching cartoons, they weren't thinking, how are we going to ensure that this portrays the experience of more than just white people, or more than just heterosexual people? In fact, I think if you ask that question in that setting, you might have gotten fired immediately. So when we take these old, admittedly great pieces of media from previous times that were intended to portray experiences under the pretext that were appropriate at the time, why can't we, when we're reimagining a show, do the same thing but with a more modern approach? I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this seems like common sense to me. And we do this with everything. Yeah. You know what I mean? When you fucking when people like tweak like the recipe for fucking Coca-Cola, people nowadays have different expectations for food. We've developed our palates differently. We're less sophisticated, obviously. But like, our palates have changed over generations. So they make Coca-Cola more palatable to people today, and more more averaged out to pander to the experience of the average person. And I don't understand.
Appropriately not full of cocaine.
Yeah, exactly. You get rid of the cocaine. Are these people mad that Coca-Cola doesn't have cocaine in it anymore? It's not true to the original. It's like, when we create things, when we create new interpretations of things, they evolve over time. Okay? Interpretations are exactly that. Interpretations. They have modern standards applied to old things. I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but you apply modern standards to these old templates and shit. Sometimes, I'm not even saying it's inherently problematic that, oh my god, the entire cast of Scooby-Doo is white, because you look outside, you see groups of white people all the time. I'm not saying big groups of white people can't exist on the television. I'm just saying they're not the only thing that needs to exist in television. And then there's the people who are like, fucking, I think it should be accurate. We need 13% of every cast to be black. Like, fuck you, dude. It's so unbelievably stupid. It's unfathomably lacking in a logical foundation. Because how would you feel if you were told, yeah, only 13% of characters get to portray your experience, and the rest of them get to portray this other person's experience? That's so fucking incredibly disrespectful and borderline just racist at that point. Like, you're literally just telling somebody that, oh yeah, since you're a minority, we're gonna, like, what, are we gonna give them 13% of their fucking paycheck? Is that what you want? You want them to have 13% of everything because they're 13% of the population? Fuck you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I see, it is such a weird argument to me too. Like, what's coming to mind is people like, why is there a gay person in every show now?
There isn't.
When there only there isn't. Yeah, first of all. And when they're only 5% of the population. And something that I think people forget is that there's almost 8 billion people in the world, and at that point, 5% of the population is like millions and millions of people. That's a lot of fucking people who never or barely ever see themselves represented in media. And just because someone is a minority part of the population, does that mean that they don't deserve to be visible? That it isn't important to represent them in media in ways that will end up benefiting them? Because the reality is that that representation in media is part of how people begin to understand and accept minority groups.
Which is fucking depressing. That's
depressing.
That's how kids are going to learn what gay people are, is through the television, and not
it is
through
depressing.
common sense.
Yes, it is depressing, but it is the reality. And the kind of classic example of that is like Uncle Tom's Cabin, that old novel, which obviously very problematic themes in there, but it is true. It is true that Uncle Tom's Cabin was published, and all sorts of people in the North read it and went, "Oh, well, Uncle Tom is such a great guy. Why would he be considered a slave or a secondhand citizen in the South? That's terrible. Why, it's so awful that someone would be treated like this." And that's what got people to, a part of what got people to initially start thinking about, maybe we should get rid of slavery. Because they saw this character represented and went, oh wait, black people are also human beings. Which, obviously, depressing, but it's true. That's what happened.
That's how I feel when I have to show a transphobic person a picture of like Blair White or some really smoking hot trans woman, and be like, okay, is this a woman? And then they fucking shit their pants because they don't have the guts to say no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's, just because trans people are 1.4% of the population, that is still millions of people.
I'm surprised it's that high, to be completely honest with you. That's an insane fucking amount of people.
I've been arguing with a lot of transphobes online recently, and that's the number. It's the official number for the number of trans people in America, 1.4%. But that is millions of people who deserve to be treated with dignity and respect, who are currently dealing with a whole lot of people who have no idea how to treat a trans person because they barely even know what being trans is. And if those people were able to have a fun show that would also teach them what a trans person is at the same time, that would be immensely helpful to the millions and millions of us that are currently being treated really poorly by a lot of people. The same goes for gay people. The same goes for all sorts of minorities. It's very classic that a lot of people who are Asian will all just be lumped into each other. And that's why it is so valuable when we have pieces of media that portray a specific Asian identity, like someone who is Taiwanese, for instance. So that then people see that and see, oh, there's a distinction between people who live in Taiwan, people who live in Korea and China, and Japan. Oh, there's more people than just China and Korea and Japan. There's all sorts of Asian identities. And that is, even if the number of Taiwanese people of Taiwanese descent in the US is extremely small, that is still millions of people, and they still deserve to be treated with dignity and not have their culture completely erased by the larger countries in that region. And it is so valuable to them. It is so valuable to us. And I don't fucking understand why people have such a problem with that. And the only conclusion I can come to is that it's racism. And
I guess
I've had lots of conversations about this.
Which is what?
Sorry, what? What?
I think the delay got the better of us. I said I think you could say racial bias, which is kind of a nicer way of telling someone that they're a racist piece of shit. No, like
yeah.
Because when you say the word racist, people are thinking, "What? I don't want to lynch all black people. I'm not racist.
Yeah.
What the hell?" But if you say racial bias, I think they're significantly more likely to, at best, be like, you know what, perhaps reconsider their thought process. Perhaps, because when you say racial bias, I feel like a lot of people, when they hear that, they immediately know that you're referring to like something that's out of your control, something that's like just a reflection of your surroundings. Whereas when you say racist, oftentimes people will misinterpret that as you saying that they are like a cartoonishly evil person who just out of malice wishes to destroy all minorities.
Yeah. You're completely right.
Even though the word racist accurately describes someone with a negative or a impaired like racial bias, it's certainly developed implications that make people freak out. That it just lost a lot of its productive use in certain conversations.
Yeah. No, you're completely right. Thank you for correcting me on that.
I wasn't correcting you. I was just adding on.
Well, okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah, and I'll also, when talking to people about this online, I'll have people go like, "Oh, what about Miles Morales? We love Miles Morales, and no one was ever mad about there being a black Spider-Man," which is just not true. People were mad about Miles Morales. People were pissed.
I remember when I first heard about him, Miles Morales. I think it's Miles Morales. I don't know if it's Miles Morales.
I think it's Miles Morales.
I've heard it said both ways, and I've heard people get made fun of for saying it both ways. So I don't fucking know. But I'm gonna say Miles Morales. That's what I'm betting on. The fucking comic book. They had a comic book in my 7th grade classroom, and I specifically remember a white kid being like, "Oh, they had to make Spider-Man black." Like, first of all, it's funny that he thinks they just turned Peter Parker black. Second of all, it's just the general like animosity towards that has been there. It's made its way to the middle school classrooms, and I saw the same response when Into the Spider-Verse came out. A lot of people were really mad about that. People were really mad that there was rap music in the movie too. That shit caused outrage. Was there rap music in the movie? I don't know. There was rap music on the soundtrack to the movie, which could have been in or not in the film itself. I haven't actually watched the movie.
It was in the film. It's great. You should watch it.
I plan on watching it. I've been watching all the Marvel movies, as a lot of people know, and that's definitely one of them.
I could go on a whole rant about it. I really enjoyed that movie. But yeah, I think a lot of the people who are at this point on the side, in quotation marks, of forced diversity being a thing that is an issue, I think that a lot of them are just going by their own definition of it and don't realize that the origins of this term and just this whole history exists, and they don't even know that people were pissed off about Miles Morales. Are
you talking to children on the internet?
I'm
like
talking
high schoolers?
to 30-year-old men in
30-year-old men
Dark
are bringing
Souls.
up Into the Spider-Verse, though?
Yeah, actually.
I guess, yeah. My perception of age is completely fucked.
Miles Morales has existed in the comics for a while now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But nobody gave a shit about him until the movie. At least to my understanding. I don't remember anyone caring about him until the movie. Isn't he half black and half Hispanic? Wasn't that yeah.
Yes. I knew that Miles Morales existed because I was I read some Marvel comics in my time. I was a big Deadpool fan, and Miles Morales does appear in the Deadpool and Spider-Man comics. briefly, but he's there. And I was always peripherally aware of this character, but he really did. People became much more aware of him once the movie came out. But I think a lot of them just don't know, but at the same time are too insecure to admit that they're wrong to use the term forced diversity in this way.
Wait until I hear about Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Nuts! The
Wonder Woman
feminists are taking over!
Wonder Woman literally was a feminist effort to present women as powerful in a world that was admittedly degrading to women, that being comic books, generally speaking. That was like DC's like admission. They're like, look, we're sorry, okay? We're gonna give you fucking Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman is pretty cool, though.
We apologize for the sexual awakening of many 11-year-old boys. We're gonna give them a more powerful sexual awakening with a powerful woman, Wonder Woman. Fucking Spider-Woman, Batgirl. They've been shoving women into comic books for a long time, and I love it. When I say shoving women, I mean that is literally what's happening, and I think it's amazing. It's great. I think we should shove as many minorities as possible into things. And you know what? I'm going to bite the bullet. Forced diversity is a good thing because I will force you to be diverse. I am forcing diversity upon the world. Are people going to start getting mad at black people for existing? Like, oh, this is forced diversity. Like how is it any different than just black people showing up in real life? This fiction reflects reality. Art imitates life. And this is my entire point. This entire fucking episode is minority people, they exist, so they're gonna be in media. And fuck you if you don't like it.
And I do think, like, in this discussion that I had with these 30-year-old out-of-touch Soulsborne nerds, there were some people who were genuinely like, I think that people are focusing on quantity over quality, and that these characters end up having their only personality trait being their status as a minority. And I agree that is bad, and there's a lot of corporations that are using minorities as a marketing effort.
As notches in their belt. As...
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
As, you know, look, we're not a racist company. We have a black person in our movie. And I agree, but I think that that's more a symptom of capitalism than anything. Like, are you keeping this energy for every other aspect of movies? Because of course, in order for art to be distributed to people, it needs to be profitable. That is just the reality of our country, of capitalism. So, you know, of course, if it's gonna make it more marketable, we're gonna have more minorities in it. But I don't think that also means that it's just it's worthless. I think that there is a lack of quality representation in a lot of things.
I guess we could...
Representation where a character is allowed to just exist as a minority without having their entire personal plot be about being a minority. Especially for trans people, obviously. It's always necessary whenever, in the rare instances where there are trans characters, for there to be a whole explanation about what trans people are.
Can you name a movie that came out in the last 10 years that has like a trans main character? Not like the main character, but like a trans character with a major role, because I literally can't.
I can't either.
Like you can name TV shows, right? But like those come and go. Like it's funny because TV shows are significantly longer and bigger than movies, but it seems like they leave less of a impact these days, especially like streaming service originals. Like fucking Euphoria, everybody freaked the fuck out about that show for so long, or not for so long, like it was to such an extent, but they literally like forgot about it in like 2 weeks.
Yeah. Still haven't watched Euphoria.
I'm not going to. I don't want to watch a bunch of adults play high schoolers and fuck each other.
Do drugs. Yeah, it's I'm not gonna watch it, but I
don't want to watch. I don't want to watch high school porn. Nobody wants to see that shit. Fucking perverts.
I mean, people do want to see that shit, but it's extremely morally questionable.
You shouldn't want to see it. Listen, I'm not even saying that like high school sex shouldn't be portrayed on film. It shouldn't be eroticized, and Euphoria is unquestionably eroticizes it, from what I've heard. Unless I've been told nothing but lies from every white woman in my life, but for the most part, I'm pretty damn sure that it's one of those things, one of the many things that eroticizes sexual relationships in high school. Yada yada yada. Yucky yucky yucky. That's why I stopped watching anime. Yucky yucky yucky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And hopefully in the future there will be more, but people not need
more
to
high school sex?
No, more trans representation.
Okay.
Quality
Forgot what we were talking
representation for
about.
minorities.
What about
people need to stop pissing themselves whenever they see a person of color or an LGBT person or a person with a disability on their screen. Like literally any visibility for minorities is labeled as woke by conservatives these days. Did you see the thing with Cadence Owens where she's like,
it's Candace.
Underwear marketed. Candace?
It's Candace.
I thought it was Cadence.
No, it's not. She's not Princess Cadence from fucking My Little Pony. It's Candace Owens.
Okay, whatever. But she was like, underwear marketed to people in wheelchairs? How preposterous! And the reality is that people in wheelchairs need different underwear in order to be comfortable and to even look attractive while sitting in their wheelchair.
Catering to anyone who isn't just like a demographic majority? Wow. Why? Very bold of people to like want things. Very woke of people to want things that fit them. Like people, I've seen people get fucking pissed that there's like the what's the like term? Because I only know the most bigoted terms for this section at the store. The section at like JCPenney for very large people. Just I guess plus size. Plus is that actually what it's called? Because
yes.
I hear that simultaneously
in clothing. There's
it's...
a lot of debate. There's a lot of debate around it. Plus size is what it's called. It's literally it's like XXL and up. That is plus size.
Shit, I might be fucking plus size. Jesus Christ.
Or it's like XXL or like 3XL is plus size or something like that.
I occasionally wear 2XL, but I don't think I'm actually a 2XL.
Yeah. But there's a lot of like weird. There isn't really a definitive answer. Obese is definitely considered bad at this point, I believe, just because it's.
Nobody would say the obese section at JCPenney. That would be...
Yeah.
What the fuck? And it's not necessarily and obesity, and it's not necessarily. Correct me if I'm wrong, but obesity is the medical term, right? It's for obesity is a medical. It's not necessarily a size.
Yeah, but obese has ended up being more like a slur at this point, and obesity used to scapegoat medical problems that people are facing when they're actually seriously ill in other ways. Just stuff like that. There are, like, a lot of people are campaigning for fat to not be, like, considered a dirty word and to just be describing themselves as fat. I think some people wouldn't want to be described as fat, but yeah, that's a whole tangent.
Yeah, that's all. We could do a whole episode about that. But anyways, the really big section at JCPenney. And I say this not in an insulting way at all. I'm just being 100% on it. Like, that's what it is. They're very, very large clothes that would look comical if I tried to wear them. This section at JCPenney, I've seen conservatives or people in my life be like, oh, what, they need a whole section now? Like, yeah. Really big people need really big clothes. Like, do you want them to just not be able to fit in any clothes? Like, I don't understand what the goal is here. Is the goal... To me, the goal points to like this fucking hive mind desire for eradication of all minorities, and that might sound absolutely insane, but that is very clearly the motivation that is being passed down and like sugar-coated into these people's fucking brains. These people are genocide-brained. I truly believe people are genocide-brained. Oh, women's clothing for trans women? That's disgusting. Okay, so you want us to have no clothing? You want to strip away our fucking access to basic utilities? That's genocide. Yeah. That is genocide. Yeah. Fuck you. Kill you.
Jesus Christ. Demigloom.
No.
No, you need to cut that out. You need to cut that out.
Grow and change as a person.
Oh, man.
I just realized the bots aren't even in here. So if one of our audio recordings gets fucked, we're completely fucked.
Okay.
I can't even mark it down.
That doesn't happen.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, I do think that people are genocide brained a little bit. Their reasoning, like, because it is a massive issue. I'm just gonna use plus size for plus size people. That they can't find any clothing to fit them that they look nice in that isn't made for grandmas. And people justify that by saying, oh, they should just lose weight, ignoring the fact that diseases like Cushing's disease exists, which just causes uncontrollable weight gain, and people can genuinely do nothing about it. And all of these conditions that are causing medical obesity in America, and just saying they should lose weight if they want to wear clothes. Like, and then at the same time, they'll complain about plus size people going around and like their butts showing when they bend over or their stomachs hanging out of their clothes. And it's like, you're refusing to give them clothes that fit. Of fucking course they're needing to size down, wear stuff that doesn't fit, and then you're mad about that too. Like, they aren't allowed to exist in public. And at the same time, they're not allowed to, like, exist in peace at the gym. They'll be made fun of at the gym.
Yeah, you tell them to go to the gym, and then you laugh at them at the gym. You make the gym the least safe environment for them possible.
It's fucking wild. It's crazy. And I think that this idea transfers over to all sorts of minorities. At this point, plus-size people are a majority, but we're still not catering to them somehow. But this carries over. People just don't want to see minorities in spaces where there previously weren't minorities, and that they can't just be mad that there's a black person in the diner anymore. That became not okay a while ago. So now that they're mad that there's a black person in their TV show. That's what this it's segregation brain that is persistent into the modern era. It's fucking I try to.
Your chair is squeaking. Make it stop.
I can't. I'll try and get a new chair soon.
Okay. But, sorry, guys. Just Felonious Ferris doesn't care about the show.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
But yes. It's like I try and be understanding, and I try to like earnestly convince people that, you know, maybe this is a flawed way of thinking. But I think that the issue with... See, this is even more alienating to say, but I don't think that any conservatives are really listening to this podcast anyway. I think that a lot of conservatives... Well, then I guess...
I market this in some pretty politically neutral territories, so you never know.
Y'all are about to prepare to be triggered, prepare to be offended. I think that a lot of conservatives have insecurity issues where they think that if you ever do a bad thing, then you are an irredeemable bad person. And it is just it's too painful to confront the reality that maybe they have ever done something wrong.
The left doesn't help with that narrative at
The left
all.
doesn't help
Let's be
either. You're
completely
correct.
honest.
You're correct.
We're not doing a great job of, being like, hi, we understand that you're a human being with a flawed perception of what's going on.
That's actually my biggest... I generally agree with the people on MSNBC more than I agree with the people on Fox. But also, if you watch MSNBC, they're, like, directly insulting conservative constituents. And it's like, what progress is going to come of this? You're just feeding into this tribalism, us versus them narrative, where everyone on the other side is racist and transphobic and evil. It's just so unhelpful, and I hate it so much.
They are, but with the magic of friendship, they can change.
Uh-huh.
I don't think everyone right of center is cartoonishly evil.
No.
I don't think anyone is cartoonishly evil, with maybe
like
psychopathic murderers.
I think that a lot of conservative constituents just haven't been provided the tools to challenge these narratives. They just haven't been introduced to anything else, and they haven't been given the tools to stop being so insecure that they're unable to consider other perspectives. And I think that they're being lied to by their lawmakers. A lot of them don't even know what their lawmakers are actually doing. And why would they? Because
can we just say really quickly that...
Hold on.
Go on.
A lot of them are working class. So that is 40, 50 hours a week of manual labor a lot of the time. Why the fuck would they have the energy in their free time to go, like, study what the people that they're voting for are doing? Who has the energy for that? No one, especially not them. So, like, I'm very sympathetic, but it's deeply unfortunate.
So you're a conservative sympathizer.
I feel for them. I feel a lot of sadness and pity, and I hope against hope that they'll realize what's going on and realize that the people that they're voting for... I mean, there's a reason why the Bible Belt has some of the worst quality of life in America consistently. I don't think a whole lot of them are going to realize it. I think some, with the whole Trump situation, ended up realizing, but that's only a small handful,
And remember that those people are the proletariat too, leftists, before you get fucking angry. The proletariat isn't just people who you like.
Mm-hmm.
So stop gatekeeping information and stop fucking not reaching out to people. Elitism in the left seems like a fucking, like, what is the fucking oxymoron?
Yeah.
But it's very, very present. Listen, I believe in, whatever. You're going to be a little elitist about your theory, like, I'm actually a classical Marxist, and only people who think like me are the true revolutionaries, whatever. Fuck you, I don't care. But, like, if you are going to gatekeep the humanity of people, the worthiness of quality of life, the worthiness of access to basic living needs, if that's what you're going to start gatekeeping, fuck you. You're not a real leftist. You're fake. You are a fascist. You are literally a fascist. That is literally, like, basically the definition of fascism.
Yep. Yeah. This is we've completely gone in a different direction at this point.
We're just yelling at people.
Yeah.
You're not yelling at people. I'm yelling at people. That's all I'm doing.
I think that might be a sign that it's time to wrap it up. We may have said what we have to say at this point.
Probably. We're about an hour, 18 minutes in. When the silence cut, it'll be like an hour and 12 minutes. Mm-hmm. I think this is a terrible episode. I'm gonna be honest with you. My performance was an absolute disaster. I I didn't know what to say about forced diversity, so I just started yelling at people. I'm sorry.
It's okay to express that you're angry about it. It's okay to express you're frustrated.
Yeah, but like I'm not like Martin Luther King. Like I'm not like poetic. Like I can't like I don't have the fucking Midas touch. When I yell, it's like incomprehensible sometimes. I just sound like a dumbass who doesn't know what he's talking about.
This whole episode was motivated by my interactions with this time that I posted this fightin' cowboy thread and had all of these people come to argue with me about it. And you weren't there, so I had a lot of recent memory to draw upon.
Fair. And I had 2016 memories to draw upon.
Uh-huh.
Which, as an era, I've pretty much successfully blocked out almost entirely. No. I actually have very vivid memories. But certain things, like politics, are things that I don't remember super well, depending on the topic. I remember what I believed in, but, like, shit that I just heard about, like, I don't really remember well. Anyways, yeah. Do you want to talk about anything before we get the fuck out of here? I said fuck like 40 times. Like, this is like... I just completely stopped. I completely dropped any sense of, like, professionalism that I had throughout this podcast on this episode, and for that, I apologize. That being said, where the fuck can we find you? Or what the fuck? Do you want to talk about anything else or no?
I don't really have much else to say.
Okay, cool. Where the fuck can we fucking find you? For the love of fucking God.
I'm on all sorts of places. I'm on YouTube, Tumblr, Instagram, Twitter, and I really barely use any of them. But you know, sometimes, once in a blue moon, I'll post shit posts on Tumblr. I'm trying to move my shit posts over to Tumblr. And they aren't successful because it's really difficult to get anyone to interact with your shit posts on Tumblr unless you already have a shit ton of followers. But it's fine. I'm not hurt at all. But yeah.
I tried Tumblr like once. I couldn't get like a single follower on Tumblr. Like, it's just like impossible.
It's weird. It mostly, the only way to be successful is to be a creative, be like making fanfiction or fan art for a specific thing, and then all of the ADHD autism people will flock to your post and go, I like that thing too! That's how I got the followers that I have on Tumblr, by just making a couple of One Piece shit posts. But, yeah.
Awesome. You can find me. I'm pretty much anywhere. All my links are in the description, as well as Felonious Ferris's links. I always forget to reiterate that even though we waste time plugging all our shit, it's because people are stupid and don't click in the description. These are all in the description. So go to Demigloom. Just look up Demigloom on YouTube, and maybe someday I'll post another video. But for now, there's bad political video. I'm not even going to say they're bad anymore. I'm dropping the humility, guys. Go watch The Femboy Problem by Demigloom. It's a good video. Good one. It's got my great morally adjusted friend Jellyu is featured on it, and it's my most popular video. Go check it out. That being said, this has been Middle School GSA. Goodbye.